it for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even
S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est Kelly qui fait le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked the young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. 8.6 beer. Intense by nature. And Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Lacage. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Tuesday night. It is January 17, 1 minute past 10 p.m. right here on the Sick Podcast. We're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, live on Twitter. The Canadiens win. Some are depressed because, of course, they wanted the tank, and it doesn't look like the tank's going to happen, folks. Even if Genny Dadonov scored 2 goals tonight. Even Mike Hoffman scored and was flying tonight. And how do you like Kirby Dach at center? Looks pretty good to me, not only on the wing, but also at center, too. A good game by Justin Barron, who picked up 2 assists. I thought Michael Matheson was flying as well. Samuel Montembeault again tonight. Man, oh, man, he has played really good in the last 5 games for the Montreal Canadiens. Samuel Montembeault tonight stopping 25 of 26. The Montreal Canadiens win by a score of 4-1. And speaking of Montembeault, yes, he's been very good in his last 5 games, but in his last 3 games, he stopped 99 of 103 shots against them. And before the game was over, Wi-Fi had a score to settle with Lowry, and he gave it to him pretty good. Lowry held his own, but decision Wi-Fi, I'm talking about Arber Xhekaj. The Canadiens won, and even though some want the tank, it looks like everyone was happy at the Bell Center tonight. Everyone's in a good mood, even on social media. José Levesque even sent me a tweet telling me that she loves me. My God, we all love each other now. Mind you, I had Ashley who was sending me a couple of tweets telling me that this team was depressing her because she wants the tank and she wants Connor Bedard. And earlier this evening, my buddy Jean-Charles Lajoie is telling me that he thinks that Austin Matthews is going to tell the Toronto Maple Leafs at the end of the year that he's going to play out his final season, and then that's it. They're going to think he's going to test unrestricted free agency. So before he does, they're going to trade him in the offseason. And if the Arizona Coyotes win the draft lottery and get the first pick overall, he thinks that Austin Matthews is going to be traded to Arizona. Austin Matthews, who grew up, of course, in Scottsdale, Arizona. He'll be traded to Arizona, and Connor Bedard's going to join the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I said, Jean-Charles, est-ce que t'as tombé sur la tête ou quoi? What in the world is wrong with you? Oh, man, for my mental health, tonight was not good, but we did have a laugh at least, and we're going to have a couple of more laughs with one of Jean-Charles' colleagues, this time at BPM Sport. His name is Max Van Houten, and he joins me every now and then on Tuesday nights. Max, what's going on?
Tony, my man, I hope you'll have mercy for me tonight.
Why? Well, first of all, was that television tonight, the TVA Sport, yes or no? Ça, mon chum, ça, c'est la TV. This is TV.
The answer is yes, and that is precisely why I'm saying this. You're on fuego. You're bringing the heat tonight, Tony. I hope my second language is sharp. Because I'm going to need it tonight.
The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, and I bring you the show with a lot of energy. If you ship commercial freight and want to impress your boss with how much money you can save, get in touch with the logistics professionals at Energy Transportation Group. Email them at sick@shipenergy.com or visit their website at shipenergy.com. That's number 1. Number 2, 8.6 beer, a sip for Le Canadien. There you have it. Intense by nature, the beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark, and brought to you by Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you go back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you. As a matter of fact, I'm going back to Lacage on Saturday night at the Bell Center because I'm going to watch the Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And before the game, me and my buddy Paul are going to go out for some chicken wings, among other things. All right, okay. So there you have it. And yes, that was TV earlier tonight. With all due respect to the other stations, this is TV. This is television. And you saw it. And this is a podcast. It's the Sick Podcast. And tonight, you and I, we're going to have a lot of fun. S-I-C-K on the road. S-I-C. I got to get the words for that song, by the way, but it's a pretty nice jingle. Max, what's going on? What do you tell me?
I'm doing great. I'm doing, you know what? I don't know. I'm feeling kind of weird tonight. I'm feeling weird.
Yeah? I feel weird all the time.
Yeah,
and by the way,
I
you
know.
talked about my energy. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't mind giving away my secrets, okay? I really don't.
What is it?
Well,
is
ginseng.
The jacuzzi?
No, ginseng.
Okay.
The Korean one.
Yeah.
Ginseng. Okay. Ashwagandha.
That I don't know.
Ashwagandha, you have to look it up. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit
I'm more of the classic B12 guy.
Yeah. A little bit of zinc as well.
Oh,
zinc
I
is
do
good.
zinc too.
Yeah, you do zinc.
No,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I do magnesium.
Oh,
I'm
you
sorry.
do magnesium. You're supposed to take either at supper or right about an hour before you go to bed.
Yeah, exactly.
And by
it's
the
for my
way,
neck pain.
It's good for you, yes. And by the way, it helps with your sleep too. It also helps recover. It helps in your recovery. And you're supposed to take, if you take vitamin D3, you're supposed to take magnesium because it activates the D3. And if you don't take magnesium,
I do all of this. This is the secret to my beautiful skin.
Wow, that's beautiful skin you have.
It really is. Honestly, I'm proud of it.
Yes, I think I got beautiful bluish green eyes, and I have a beautiful charisma and personality to me. I used to have, I'm going to stop talking about my looks because somebody actually gave me a rating of 3 stars instead of 5 because they said I talk about my looks. But you know what they say in life? When you got it, flaunt it. All right.
Yeah, you don't have the moves, though. You showed me on Twitter tonight. You don't have the moves, Tony.
Male energy. Try it. Ultimate male energy will boost the testosterone by about 33%.
Wow.
It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful.
All right, okay. The Canadiens played with a lot of energy tonight, though. But speaking of which, before we get to the Canadiens, is it just me or the Winnipeg Jets did not play with a lot of energy tonight? Now, I know the Jets had a game on Sunday, and I imagine they got into Montreal late on Sunday night. I don't know if they went out last night or they went out on Sunday night or they went out last night. Maybe they didn't go out at all. But this looks like a team that was visiting one of Montreal's finer establishments, either Sunday or Monday. Does it not?
Yeah, we had the same idea, Tony. I think it was after the 4th goal.
Yeah.
Look, for me, it was really just a joke because obviously I don't know. But credits where the credit is due for the Habs. But honestly, like the last 4 games now against the 2 New York teams, the Winnipeg Jets and the Nashville Predators, are all going to be, or at least 3 of them are going to be playoff teams. One of them is the crop of the West. I really expected the Jets to dominate that game, and they did not. The Habs came, I don't know, they came in swinging, and it looks like PK Subban is still having an effect on this team because the way they are starting games since then, it's like they're watching his speech before every game.
Oh, yeah. The speech that he gave versus the Nashville Predators hasn't weared off yet. They're still inspired by the speech. You know what I found funny, Max, all kidding aside, is that at some point last week, guys started saying that they took the decision, I think it was after the Nashville game, to play for the logo. Yeah. And I don't know where that speech was at the beginning of the season. I don't know what inspired that speech, and I don't know who's the one who brought it up. But, man, when you see Xhekaj after his fight, the way he was basically showing off his crest and showing off his logo, there's something to this whole playing for the logo, but somebody brought it up, and it seems like the guys have taken it personally. But, man, like, I want the tank. Can we please call up 5 players from Le Lion de Trois-Rivières et sa presse, s'il vous plaît?
It's funny you're talking about this because I was at the PK's game last week, and it's one of the things when after the game in the pressers and all that, it's one of the things when I heard that, I thought it was weird. I was like, is it me or practically every guy told that? Like, why do you have that speech at game 42 of the season about playing for the logo? That sounds strange to me a bit, to be honest. But the fact that it coincided, is that a word?
Coincides.
Coincided. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
With the PK speech,
yeah.
Who, I mean, you saw all the love that a player can get for playing for the Montreal Canadiens. There's something right there. There is something right there that seemed to click. I'm going to be honest. I hope it's like a star in Mario Kart, that it wears off quickly. Yeah. Because, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. This is useless. This is completely useless. It's fun. It's definitely fun for the fans. Did you hear them singing Country Roads tonight? They were singing country words. That was crazy. Wow. They're having fun, but it's useless.
You know what? Speaking of PK Subban, earlier today at BPM Spot, it was at around 12:05 p.m. that George Larac and Max Truman had PK Subban on for about 40 plus minutes, right? The show right before your show, Max, because they go from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and then you go from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m.
That is correct.
And that was a real good interview because PK gives great answers. He always gives you a little bit more, and it was good to hear PK Subban on the Montreal airwaves earlier today.
Yeah, it really was. It really was, and like I said, I feel like it's kind of a page has been turned. A page has been turned. It's good that it has been turned quickly, but also I don't know what's your take on this, but to me, like, and I was saying it Thursday during the day, the biggest thing for me from that ceremony, because there seems to be a divide. There seems to be a divide for anybody who is around my age or younger, so 31 years old or younger.
Yeah, this I want to hear.
PK Subban and Carey Price are the closest thing we have to Habs legends.
Yes.
And this little ceremony, which, let's be fair, it was not a jersey retirement. It was just a simple, beautiful ceremony.
Pay tribute, that's right. Lasted,
exactly.
I think, less than 10 minutes, I think.
It was unanimous. It was completely unanimous, and it felt like, for most guys I'm talking to, it felt like it was not only unanimous, but given, I think the term would be for that. Yeah. So for our generation, that was it. Whereas whenever, like I said, I was there at the Jacques Beauchamp that day and all that. Whereas for people who have known a bit more glorious days of the Habs, there was a lot of, why him? Why? Okay, he won a Norris, but he wasn't there that long. Okay, did great things off the ice, but in the great story of the Montreal Canadiens, he's not that high on the list. And after the first period,
in the great story of the Montreal Canadiens, it's the most prestigious franchise in all of hockey. They've won 24 Stanley Cups. I mean, they've had guys on defense like Doug Harvey and Larry Robinson and Serge Savard and Guy Lapointe and Chris Chelios, and the list goes on and on. I mean, they've had some great players on that team, but force est d'admettre that PK Subban has been one of the most electrifying Montreal Canadiens players since Kovalev. And Kovalev was one of the most electrifying players since Richer. Yeah. And Richer was probably the most electrifying forward the Canadiens had, or player the Canadiens had, since Lafleur. So, I mean, these are the guys. And, speaking of which, I mean, Cole Caulfield, the way he's doing his thing, and he didn't do it tonight, but he does it more often than not. Cole Caulfield, I think, is showing us that he could very well be, and Eric Engels talked about this yesterday as well, right here on the Sick Podcast, the best pure sniper the Canadiens have had since Lafleur.
Yeah, definitely. And that is precisely my point. After the first period, I felt an understanding. From more experienced and way more talented media people than me of what PK Subban meant for the younger generation of Habs fan. And that was the importance for me of that ceremony, because you're talking about Cole Caulfield. I hope Cole Caulfield was all ears during that, because we're talking about his contract right now. It's all talk here in Montreal about his contract, long-term, short-term, whatever. Cole Caulfield can have that. Hopefully not in 10 years like Subban, because Subban's career was cut short with injury. Hopefully in 15 and 20 years, he can have it. He can have it, and all he has to do is follow in the footstep of PK Subban off the ice and do even more on the ice. And I think that a little of that has worn off. And of course, it will then wear off of all the players. I mean, it's a lost season anyways. But for the great players of the Habs, the Suzuki, the Caulfield, hopefully the goalie, even though he was not in uniform, hopefully they took something out of it.
Hey, let's talk about Arber Xhekaj. I mean, his fight tonight, once again, showing off the crest the way he did, the logo. Clearly, that's something that the alumni love to see. I know Mario Tremblay even tweeted something like it was nice to see that, showing how important the Montreal Canadiens logo is, the crest is, the team is, the city is, and all that stuff. He's really endeared himself to the fans, and it didn't take very long. I think one fight in, and they already started to love him. And, I think Shane Corson was a little bit like this. I mean, the fans fell in love with him right away. John Kordick, the late John Kordick was like this. The fans fell in love with him right away. Lyle Odeline, you find, so you probably don't remember Lyle Odeline because he was on that.
I remember Lyle Odeline.
You remember Lyle? Okay, all right. So you were born what year exactly?
1991.
1991?
Yeah.
Well, Lyle Odeline had his best moments with the Canadiens when they won the Cup in '93. That's why I hesitated whether you knew him or not. But of course,
but
he went on to play with other organizations. Yes, he
exactly.
did. Yeah, he did. But yet, he was really appreciated by the Montreal Canadiens fans. They absolutely love that guy, and they love Arber Xhekaj. I mean, Xhekaj, man, when his contract is up, he's going to get another one, and the negotiation is not going to last very long. You can tell, he's going to deserve whatever they give him, and the fans, they just love him here. Chris Nyland is another guy, right? The fan didn't take long for the fans to love him, and they still love him today, right? Rightfully so. So, pretty cool.
There is a thing, though. Did you like his fight tonight? I understand that, and Marc Denis was talking about it on the broadcast.
He didn't have to.
Exactly, and that is what I don't, because he's clearly shown so far in his very young career that he is much more than what we thought he would be in the preseason. He has skills, he has a utility other than the fist, and I hope that he can get his reputation big enough, quick enough, so that he doesn't have to pick up fights as often. So that just his presence will bring enough respect and people will call him Monsieur on the ice, because he has a lot of fights lately. And I mean, I know people love it. I'm just scared for the guy to get injured.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm scared for him to get injured if he bites off more than he can chew. And we know that one punch can actually, it can come out of nowhere. You could actually be winning a fight and then get caught with one punch. I would say this to him. I would say, Arber, you're not a goon. You're not an enforcer. You're a hockey player. Don't forget that. You want to defend yourself. I got it. You want to defend your teammates. I got it. But don't go looking for the fight. If it comes to you and it has to happen and you think it has to happen, at that point you can proceed. But keep in mind, you're a hockey player.
Exactly.
You're a hockey player who knows how to fight. You're not a fighter who plays hockey. That's what he needs to know.
Remember Mike Komisarek after that Lucic fight?
Oh, man, I remember that like it was yesterday.
Never been the same.
Mike Komisarek, and I've said this story before, great guy, by the way, great guy. At one point, I got involved in a business venture in a store, and Mike Komisarek came to the grand opening, okay? Mike Komisarek, very, very good guy. Mike Komisarek and we shared a mutual friend, all right? And, I remember after the games and stuff like that, he used to hang out with my buddy. I used to hang out with my buddy, and I used to go talk to him. And Komisarek, would say a few things about, Lucic wanted to go with him and this and that and whatever. And he didn't go, but he would kind of laugh it over. And, and so I didn't have the heart to tell him. So out of respect, of course, you don't want to tell the guy, stay away from that guy. You're going to get beat up. So I pulled my buddy aside and I said, listen, I know he's your buddy, but tell him to stay away from Milan Lucic, because Milan is a bad man. And if he fights Milan Lucic, it's really not going to go well for him. Anyway, I don't know if my buddy passed on the message. I don't think he did. He fought Milan Lucic, and it went very, very badly. And then later on, Milan Lucic just invited him to dance when they swept the Canadiens in 2009 playoffs. He didn't want to, and he just gave him one punch, boom, knocked him down. Yeah. That fight was over. I don't even think Komisarek could drop the gloves. And then later on, they had another tilt when Komisarek was a Toronto Maple Leaf, and Milan Lucic gave it to him again. And Mike Komisarek's got a huge heart. He's a really, really nice guy. But Mike Komisarek didn't do a lot of fighting growing up. Milan Lucic did. Milan Lucic can fight. Mike Komisarek, not very good. And his career was never the same. After that, his career was never the same. But, we're talking Xhekaj. Xhekaj knows how to fight. Xhekaj knows how to defend himself.
Yeah, I get that.
And you get the feeling, without even knowing him, that he actually even likes it.
Oh, he likes it. He likes it. The way after every fight, the way he pumps the crowd. That part of it, even though I don't like fighting personally, that part of it, I love it. The energy that he brings to it. the connection to the fan. That is beautiful. And I can't wait to see Arber Xhekaj in a better Montreal Canadiens period, because you get the feeling that just like Caulfield and Suzuki showed during the playoffs, you get the feeling that he will be the type of player who will strive in an electric Montreal environment.
Yeah,
so
c'est un vrai, mon
mon
chum. He's a real one. C'est un vrai, right? C'est un vrai. Hey, because you brought up PK Subban before, I actually want to just play the clip because I talked about the interview that he had with George Larac earlier today, which lasted 40-plus minutes at BPM Sport. But of all the clips, here's one that is probably more interesting than the rest. He talks about him and his buddy, Andrei Markov. Let's see if we can play it.
I forget the first day that we practiced together. And he said, hey, right now we're at the bottom pairing. He said by the end of next week, we're going to be at the top pairing. And I said, okay, Marky. And we never looked back from there. You know, we continued to build and built our chemistry on the ice. And I believe during our time of playing together that there was no better deep pairing in the league when he and I were together. There was no one that was better than us in all facets of the game. And I think that showed a lot. So, you know, that was my relationship with him.
All right, there you have it. If you want to listen to the entire interview, of course, you can make your way on the BPM Sport website. Once again, a real good conversation. BPM Sport, fantastic collaborators and fantastic interviews. Quebec's #1 all sports radio station. All right, we got that out of the way. Kirby Dach. At the beginning of the season, he starts at center. All of a sudden, Suzuki and Caulfield are looking for another winger on that line. And at one point, they go to Kirby Dach. And Kirby Dach starts picking up points, and he stays there. And then because of a few injuries here and there, or if they go, whether they go 11 forwards, and 7D, or you saw him, you're starting to see him at center. Yeah. And as good as he was on the wing, Max, you correct me if I'm wrong, he's looking just as good, if not better, at center.
He is looking better at center. The only thing is, if he could only get on the ice on the rush when the play is going, so he never takes face-off. That would be great.
I know, because he was like 22% or whatever he was. Yeah.
But all jokes aside, the key play to me...
Well, it's not a joke. It's significant what you just said. He loses a lot of face-offs.
But it can be worked on.
Yeah.
It can be worked on. And I hope he spends the whole summer working on it. I hope he does. But the key play to me tonight was the pass to Hoffman, second goal, because I really enjoyed Kirby Dach in the juniors. And when he got here, I remembered a more physical Kirby Dach than what we have seen. Without saying he is Jesperi Kotkaniemi, sometimes there are ways in which he makes me think of him in terms of, despite being a big-bodied dude, he is not the most capable in physicality. On that play,
he doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be.
He doesn't have to be. But with the body that he has to take hits like he took on that play, sacrifice to give the pass, and that is what I want to see. And he can do it, and I loved it. I loved it. Take the hit, take the pain, get the goal. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I wonder if they have a password to get into the Montreal Canadiens locker room the way they used to have to get into the Water Buffalo Lodge during the Flintstones, which you have no idea what I'm talking about. Because when I was young and I was going to school, we'd come home at noon, we'd have lunch. My mother would prepare me a big baguette, bread like this with mortadella inside and capicola and all that stuff. And we would watch the Flintstones. And the password, because once upon a time, Wilma and Betty tried to get into the Water Buffalo Lodge, and they were asked what the password was, and they heard someone say it before them. Ack, a dak, ack, a dak. All right.
Believe it or not, Tony, I understood everything of that reference because of the beauties of reruns.
Yeah.
The Flintstones were on reruns, either on Teletoon or Canal Famille in the 90s.
That's right. Yes, they were. And which one was your favorite episode? Because mine was, there were a couple, but Goggles Paisano driving up the wall was one of them. Remember that one?
I don't remember specifically, but all I can say is I was I don't know if his name is the same in English, but Boom Boom. the son of the couple, the Friends couple, Archer son.
Yeah.
All I can say is that he was my favorite with the dino, riding the dino. That's all I could care about when I was 6 years old.
Yeah. There was a couple, Madam Yes and a judo, chop, chop, chop. And 88 Fingers Louie was another one. And there were a couple. The Great Gazoo. Oh man, those were some great episodes. Okay, I got to stop thinking about this because now I'm all rattled. Okay. Okay. Samuel Montembeault.
Beautiful.
He stopped 99 of his last 103 shots against in the last 3 games.
A beauty.
This guy's playing the best hockey of his career. And I have to tell you, I'm going to raise my hand and say I'm guilty. When I saw him play for the Canadiens for the first time, after they picked him up from the Panthers, I looked at his lateral movements. I looked at his rebound control. He was losing his net. I looked at him and I said, this guy's not an NHL goalie. So force est d'admettre that the work that has been done with him, and it's not often we bring up the name Eric Raymond here on the Sick Podcast or Montreal Canadiens fans do. He is the goalie coach. If I wouldn't say his name, a lot of people wouldn't even know it's him. But the work he's done with Montembeault, and Montembeault deserves a lot of credit himself as well for believing Montembeault is like, he's so much improved. And I said yesterday to Eric, and I'm going to say it again, some people probably won't put Kirby Dach in the category of la quatrième étoile, the fourth star. If you do, he probably wins the Jacques Beauchamp Award. But if you don't put Kirby Dach in that category, a guy who was drafted 3rd overall and a guy who spent a lot of time on the first line with Caulfield and Suzuki, the award would go to Montembeault.
I agree. I wonder if people will vote for a second goalie. Or just for a goalie in general. But
I wonder how many votes Arber Xhekaj would get for that, for la quatrième étoile. You think
he will get a lot of votes.
Yeah?
He will get a lot of votes. But
so
I love
if the season ended today, who would be the top 3?
The top 3?
Yeah.
Do you think Caden Goalie will get votes?
He would have got votes before that injury, but the injury obviously has set him back.
David Savard will get votes. David Savard will be in the top 3.
David Savard will get votes.
Samuel Montembeault will be in the top 3.
He's also, look, besides the fact that he works very hard, David, you have to give him that. He'll also going to get votes because a lot of members of the media are, they got chez nous, puis c'est un gars de chez nous, puis bien sympathique, puis they're going to give him a vote too. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
He's a good player and he tries hard, but that, I think that helps, right? Obviously doesn't hurt the cause.
You know what? I don't think Kirby Dach's a top 3 guy. I don't think people will consider him for the Jacques Beauchamp. I think it will be Arber Xhekaj, Montembeault, and David Savard. That would be my top 3. With Montembeault winning it.
With Montembeault winning it, eh? Yeah. Listen, I think he would get a lot of votes. There's no doubt about it.
Well, let me rephrase that. It would be my choice. I'm not sure if he was winning it. He would get my vote.
From one goalie to another, I want to talk to you about Connor Hellebuyck tonight, who stopped 24 of 28. Yeah. Now, is it me or, Dadonov scores 1 goal on a one-timer, okay? He scores another goal off a rebound. Josh Anderson scores a goal off a rebound. And Mike Hoffman scores a goal on the off wing, real good, nice wrist shot, okay?
Yeah.
But there's 2 goals that are scored off rebounds. But besides, on top of those 2 goals, is it me or did it look like the Montreal Canadiens were shooting not to score tonight, but shooting to get rebounds? And don't get me wrong, Hoffman shot to score, yes. Dadonov on the first one shot to score, yes. But very often, it looked like the Canadiens tonight were shooting to get rebounds. And I realized tonight, more than ever, I had seen it in the playoff series as well when they played each other and the Canadiens swept them. But tonight, it was the confirmation. As good as Connor Hellebuyck is, his rebound control, c'est pas fort, là.
No, I understand what you mean. And, it's funny because before the first Dadonov goal, I was like, oh, my God. Hellebuyck seemed in the zone. Just before the goal, he had, the 6 consecutive saves. Part of it, because like you were saying, he was not that good on his rebound, but he was making save after saves. And after that, all hell broke loose. But, no, I understand what you mean. He makes me think sometimes of Jean-Sébastien Giguère in his prime. Remember Jean-Sébastien Giguère was... along with Roberto Luongo, but even more...
Jean-Sébastien Giguère won the Stanley Cup. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and the Conley
And he was, and he was very, very good in those playoffs. Yes.
Yeah, but he was the poster child for... He was the poster child for Michelin goaltending. Remember the early 2000s when 160 pounds goalies looked like defensive line in football because of all the equipment?
Yes.
So Hellebuyck is one of the rare in this day and age that still, to me, has that look. He has huge pads. He is a huge dude, and he plays deep in his net. Have you ever realized how deep in his net he plays? And he doesn't move that much. He tries and make the saves with the gloves, with the pads, and to stay in front of the puck after that for the second and the third save, which usually is really good at. But you are right. You are correct. The rebound control tonight was pretty bad.
A shout out to sportbuffshop.com. Shop all your sports licensed lifestyle apparel, including hoodies, caps, and t-shirts of your favorite teams from all major leagues, as well as our sick merchandise. Take a look at this beauty. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C. I have no idea. Could somebody please put up the lyrics so I could sing the song comme il faut? But shop it at sportbuffshop.com. Use code SICK10 for 10% off on all of their items. Now, I'm not taking calls just yet, but you know what I'm going to do? Because I think a lot of people would like to weigh in, and I think I'll take a couple of calls tonight, one or two, maybe even more. I'm going to give out the number already. 1-888, even though I'm not taking the calls right now, but I'll take them soon. 1-888-585-SICK. 1-888-585-7425. That's the number. If you're watching right now on your smartphone, you can obviously pick up your cordless phone at home, and you can call this toll-free number, get a line, then you can talk to me. And you can continue to watch YouTube while you're even talking to me on the phone off your cordless phone if you want. It's that easy. So jump on a line. Agnello and Sammy are back at Master Control, and they're going to get to your calls, and we are going to get to you. We can also even get to a couple of comments. And here we go. If a team around 16th place offers you their first rounder for Montembeault, do you take it?
Oh,
No, the Canadiens don't have any goaltending right now.
Yeah, but nobody's going to offer that.
No, but would you trade Montembeault for a first round pick right now, or?
Well,
but a 16th pick.
Yes, but no. I mean, it's like
yes,
I understand
correct.
Yeah, but the thing is,
and Montembeault's not the type of goalie that a team's going to offer you their first round pick for.
No, we have a very bad habit in Montreal of overvaluing a lot of people, and that is what I call the Charlie Lindgren syndrome. I don't know about you, Tony, back at the Montreal Forum, but like 3 to 4 years ago, it seemed like so many people thought that Charlie Lindgren and a second-round pick, it was always Charlie Lindgren and a second-round pick was going to get us a top 6 forward. That has become one of my favorite memes. A second-round pick and Charlie Lindgren was the key for every trade for Montreal back then.
Now, having said that, look, you could also... We agree that the Canadiens wouldn't be offered that. We also agree that from a logical point of view, you would actually do the trade because as good as he's playing right now, he's not worth a first-round pick. You do
Absolutely not.
The dilemma is that you don't have anyone in goal other than Jake Allen. And then what do? You bring up Caden Primo and you rush him and you play him even though he's not ready. You go out and you get another goaler. Look, it all depends. But, yeah, come to think of it, obviously, he's not worth a first-round pick. But you're not going to get a first-round pick for Samuel Montembeault anyway. So, I don't know what we're talking about. But anyway, somebody asked, and we brought it
Man
up,
of the people, Tony, the people's champ.
Yeah. Okay. So others rather trade Jake Allen, says Kevin McCart. So would I. I'd rather trade Jake Allen too. There's no doubt about it. Would you trade Jake Allen?
I don't think I would trade Jake Allen. Well, it depends on the return.
Why wouldn't you trade Jake Allen? Why?
Because I actually don't mind that duo of Montembeault-Allen, especially if Montembeault keeps going the way he does, and next year, to start the year, which will probably still be a rebuild year, or at least a transition in the rebuild, depending of what you get as the first pick that you get this year. I would be comfortable with this duo starting again next year, with this time Montembeault being 1A to start the season, and keep seeing, is it just fluky? Can he actually take a 1B, 1A standpoint? And for every, Jake Allen is not a real number one goalie in the NHL, but he is a damn good teammate, a damn good leader to have. So I would keep him, unless the return is absolutely, again, something you don't expect. But I would keep him. Like you said, what do? You go with Montembeault Primo?
You go with you can't skip. If Caden Primo's not ready next year, you can't go to him. My apologies for picking up the phone. There was something wrong with the chat. It's funny because last week Eric Engels was on, and at one point I asked him a question. He gave me an answer, and I got a text, which was not a personal text. It had to do with what we were doing with the job and stuff like that. And I couldn't do it through the internal chat. I did it on the phone, and I got criticized. You picked up the phone during the show, and I listen. I know it's not a nice thing to do. I was not texting back and forth with my buddy about his golf game. All right, it was work related. It had to do with the podcast, but the internal chat wasn't working. And right now, I had to do this one here instead of the internal chat as well. I feel like I have to explain everything, right? So many people get so offended easily. I don't know why, but anyway, that's just the world we live in, I guess, right now. Tony, what do you think of Lafreniere? Would you make a trade for him? Would I make a trade for him? Yes. Would I give up Slafkovsky for him? No. Would I give up a real good young prospect for him? No.
What's a really good young prospect?
Well, so obviously, I mean, everybody knows. I think we can all agree that nobody would, even if it's a package deal. I mean, unless there's, Keandre Miller coming back. So, I mean,
love that guy.
Look, so you're not trading Suzuki. You're not trading Cole Caulfield.
No.
You're not trading Uri Slafkovsky.
No.
Now, the big question is, would you want to trade Kirby Dach? Some will probably go for it. I'd rather not, because right now his versatility, he can play wing on the first line. He can center a second line. So I'd rather not do that either. Is there anyone else the Canadiens have that can interest the New York Rangers? I don't know, but, I'm not trading any of the guys that we talked about, and I'm not trading Caden Gooley either, right?
Absolutely not. No, I agree. I agree with you.
But he's from here. He's from Saint Eustache, and a lot of people are going to want him. I mean, I understand that too, right?
I'm not the biggest fan of trade
Lafreniere?
proposition for. No, I was actually a Laffy fan, but I'm not the biggest fan of when a prospect is not living up to the hype somewhere else to try and be the savior of that prospect and bring it in, unless he has shown good flashes. For a while, Jesse Puljujärvi. Everybody was like, go get Jesse Puljujärvi. He'll blow up in Montreal.
Healthy scratch now.
Exactly. But why? Why do you think he would blow up here?
Yeah, just people are tempted. They look at the size. They look at the pedigree. They look at the fact that he went 4th overall in the draft, and they just think it didn't work there. It's probably going to work somewhere else. But you know what? Nail Yakupov, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. There's Pavel Brendel, didn't work. I mean, there's a couple that were drafted in the top 3 or 4, and, it just didn't work. Benoit Pouliot was drafted 4th overall. He had a pretty decent career, but he moved around quite a bit. In the end, he never really lived up to his potential. It didn't work. So for those who say go out and get Puljujärvi, you know what? Maybe he comes here, and maybe he does. But I just think that Jesse Puljujärvi is a real easy player to play against, and I think the Canadiens have had several passengers on more than one occasion. I don't think he's a right fit. I don't mind guys that don't produce in their first 3 or 4 years in the National Hockey League. It happens. It's a rut. You can still get out of it. You can still come into your own, or year 6 or year 7. But if you don't have pride, if you don't play with pride, and you don't play with work ethic early on in your NHL career, chances are that's who you are.
Yeah.
Right? That's who you are.
I agree. There are things that can come later in a career, but intensity, talent, heart, you got it or you don't.
All right. What else caught your attention tonight?
I particularly enjoyed the return of Mike Madison. I was curious about him.
Yeah.
I want to see him on a long period. I want to see Mike Madison on a long period. I really believe he can help the young players just by his presence, just like Savard when he got back, just by putting everybody back into their chair.
Yeah.
So we have not been blessed with a real stretch of consecutive game for Mike Madison. So I want to see that. He was on the power play.
You know what it is, Max? Is that a lot of people look at the stats tonight and they'll say Mike Matheson had 5 giveaways. Yeah, but Mike Matheson picks up the puck in his own zone. He carries the puck into the offensive zone. He takes chances. I think he's a modern day NHLer. Okay, I think he's a real good fluid skating defenseman who joins the rush, who's good in transition. And you know what? They're not going to make the playoffs anyway. As much as they won a couple of games in a row here, they're not.
Exactly.
I like the way Mike Matheson plays. I do.
I do too. He's the type of defenseman I enjoyed, so I enjoyed him a lot. And last time I was here with you, I was really hard on Justin Barron. So let's give it to him tonight for a solid game for Justin Barron. Not just because he got the first star, but he was really good tonight, particularly his first. He had 2 passes tonight. The first pass, it was the one to Hoffman. That was a solid big league pass. The velocity of it, the precision of it.
No, the first pass was to Dadonov on the one-timer.
That was Dadonov. You're right. That was it.
Second pass was in his own zone. He got it. He flipped it to Dach. Dach got it to Mike Hoffman, who on the off wing coming down the right side, left-handed shot, was able to quick wrist shot. But listen, it's Justin Barron's best game in the National Hockey League. When you say you gave it to him, I mean, I gave it to him. He deserved to get it. He looked soft, and he didn't look like he was excelling in any category. He just looked like he was good, not more than that. Yeah. Tonight was Justin Barron's best game in the National Hockey League. It's not even close.
I still think he needs to, especially now that Madison is back. I still think he needs some minutes in Laval. But you know what? For one night, he was really good tonight.
Yeah, no, he was really, really good tonight. All right. They have the Jets number, right? They have the Jets number. Yeah.
They do. They're living rent-free in Scheifele's head. The guy, he can't do it. And they live free, too, in Connor Hellebuyck's head.
Yeah.
They really do.
The next couple of games are going to be really interesting, right? They host the Florida Panthers. They host the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then they got the Boston Bruins. Hey, it's taken a long time to see the Boston Bruins, but we're finally going to see the Boston Bruins. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that won't be beautiful. That won't be beautiful.
The Boston Bruins, you never know.
No, they're not going to pull off a Winnipeg Jets. The Boston in a rivalry game, they're going to come in. It won't be beautiful. It will not be beautiful.
Hey. I understand it's a divisional game. I understand it's a rivalry, and I understand the Bruins are better than the Jets. But I heard you earlier today at BPM Sport. Don't think I didn't hear you, okay? You know, you didn't give the Montreal Canadiens much of a chance.
I didn't give him any chance at all.
Yeah, but my God, they have Winnipeg's number, though. You know, it's funny, eh? It's funny because they have Winnipeg's number, and I put a few dollars. I had a few dollars in my account. Okay,
you did.
Hold on a sec. I had a few dollars in my account, and Agnello and Sammy, a master controller, are probably dying of laughter on this one. I put it on the Canadiens against Winnipeg.
No, you didn't.
No, pardon me. I put it on the Canadiens against Winnipeg in preseason.
I'm sorry.
In preseason, the Jets played a game here. I think the only guy that the Jets had playing, honestly, I think was Dubois. Like nobody else was playing. I don't think Connor was playing. I don't think Scheifele was playing. Hellebuyck wasn't playing. Nobody was playing. And the Canadiens had lost like 4 or 5 games in a row in preseason. So you know when you're always saying, okay, they're due. And then finally Winnipeg comes to town. You got their number. They have nobody playing. They only have Dubois. And the Canadiens were winning 3-2 with, I think, a couple of minutes left in the game. And the Jets tied it up, and the Jets scored the winner with like 30 seconds left in the game.
Oh, man.
I was having supper at Xhekaj with Agnello and his wife Rosa and Sammy, and I believe his daughter Juliana. And, you know, I'm usually in a very good mood all the time, especially when I'm around them. That night, my face went white. I thought I saw, like, I'm like, is this a joke? And you know what the best part is? I'm the type of guy, Max, that I'm very, very good with my predictions. Like honestly, I know that in Vegas, if you go like 62 or 63%, you're considered a genius, okay? I really believe I can almost go like 75% just giving winners, okay? The second I bet, I lose.
Yeah, but that's what you get for breaking my number 2 rule of sports betting, Tony.
What is it?
You do not bet on preseason games. You don't bet on
probably right
preseason
about that.
games.
You're probably
you
right
do
about
not do that. You can.
You know what
don't
my
have
best bet was?
No, your best bet?
Yeah, it happened at the draft.
Oh, really?
I chose
Slavkovsky?
the Canadiens to pick Slavkovsky first,
Okay.
Jersey to pick Simon Nemec second,
Oh, damn.
Arizona to pick Logan Cooley third,
Okay, solid.
and Seattle to pick Shane Wright fourth.
In a parlay?
Yeah, four parlay. I
Oh.
put $50 on that,
Okay, that's
and I won
beautiful.
2,100.
That's beautiful. Okay.
Yes, that was a beautiful thing. If only they could always be that beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what was beautiful?
What is?
You
Thank you so
and
much.
me.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you for doing this.
No, thanks to you, Tony. Thanks you for
You're
the
very
opportunity. I always enjoy it. And thank you for having mercy for me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Man, Max.
You
Of
dropped the
course,
heat just a bit to let me get warm, to get back into my Sherbrooke guy English. I really appreciate it.
I have something for you before I let you go. You know the way we talked about that maybe the Jets went out to one of Montreal's finer establishments last night?
Did they? Did you get the information, Tony?
Or they went dancing? Maybe it looks something like this, they're dancing.
Oh, no, not you again. No. Oh, my God. God damn it.
Look at that.
Oh,
Look
my
at this.
Tony.
Look at these moves. Look.
Oh,
look, you know what that
no.
is? Now you see it. Now you
my
don't. You throw it up.
God.
You go in your pocket. You pull it
You
up.
almost kicked that woman.
Yeah, almost, but I didn't.
You
throw
almost
it
kicked
up
that
in the
woman.
air, you catch it, and then you put it back in your pocket.
Oh,
Where it
my
goes
God.
so fast. Look at that. Boom. Did you see how
Oh,
fast
my
this?
God.
Look, up.
Oh,
That
my
was even
God.
under. Look
Tony,
at
we
this.
need to talk.
Look
Tony,
at,
we need
look
to
at
talk.
these. Look at these moves. Look at my shoes that match my shirt. Too. Look
Oh
at
my! I did not
that.
get there the first time. I did
Oh
not
my-
get. Oh no!
Oh my
That is
God.
nightmare. Oh,
Is that
Tony, I
stuff
was
you're like-
wondering. It's late. I was going before I came on. I was like, okay, after
Hey.
Tony, do I cool off with a little Star Wars
Yeah.
the series after that?
Yeah.
Andor, or do I go straight to sleep? I'm watching Star Wars. I am not going to sleep with those images in my head.
my friend,
Tony.
those are what we call sick dance moves. And I'm going to leave you with this because you're younger than me and I have a little bit more experience. I've been around the block once or twice, okay?
Oh my!
Listen very carefully to what I tell you. It's very important that you learn how to dance.
Yeah. If
Because
you don't mind, I
when-
will not be taking my lessons from you.
When a woman sees that a man can dance, she says to herself, this guy can dance.
I hope she says that.
Have a great
hope-
night.
Tony, I will take you in a dance battle every day, and it will be a straight knockout win for me every day of the week.
I hope you understand what I was just talking about, but when you can dance, they really believe that you can dance. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a good night.
I'm out.
There you, yes, you definitely are. Max Van Houten, my man. It's now time for your calls at 1-888-585-SICK, 1-888-585-7425. It's time for you to speak to Marinaro. It's you called.
You called. Presented by Playground.
Playground, your premier gaming destination, just located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal, and not too far away from my beautiful home in beautiful Ville Salle either. There we go. Why don't we do this? Let's get to your phone calls. I think some people on the YouTube Live are really liking those dance moves. That was on Live with Kelly and Ryan. I get there. For those who are wondering the whole context of the whole thing, I'm not going to bore you, but I'm going to tell you fast. My wife is like the biggest Kelly Ripa fan in the world. She loves Kelly Ripa probably more than even Mark Consuelos loves Kelly Ripa, or just as much. You get my drift, right? She absolutely loves Kelly Ripa. She watches her show with Kelly and Ryan every day. She PVRs it. She watches it back again over and over and over again, like 2 or 3 times a day. When I go to bed at night, she says, you missed what happened today. And then she shows me, and she really wanted to meet Kelly Ripa. So she keeps telling me, I want to meet Kelly Ripa. I want to meet Kelly Ripa. I want to meet Kelly Ripa. Why don't we go to New York? So I take a look at New York and take a look at what's going on to see if there's any soccer games. And lo and behold, there was a Juventus game, and Juventus was playing, and I believe they were playing Barcelona, and it was one of those international Champions Tour games and stuff like that in the off season. It's kind of like to get in shape and whatever, but I figure, you know what, this will be a really good opportunity. So I said to her, I said, okay, you know what? Let's go to New York this day. And we're going to go. I applied for tickets. I got tickets for Kelly Ripa for the family. And I also got us tickets to go watch the soccer game. So we'll go to Kelly Ripa, go watch the soccer game, and we'll do that. And she said, sure. So she was happy. I was happy. Everyone was happy. We get there to the studio, and we're going to watch a live show. And my wife starts talking to a security guard, and my wife's a pretty shy person. And she says, can I ask you a question? Does Kelly take pictures with members of the audience? And he says, well, not always, but usually the way it works, if you really want to take a picture, what happens is we have like a dance-off. And the person who wins the dance-off will get to dance in the show. And if you dance in the show, right when we go to commercial at that point, that person and their family usually are able to take a picture with Kelly. And so I knew my wife wasn't going to dance. And I'm thinking to myself, happy wife, happy life. So when they ask, raise your hands, who wants to take part in the dance-off, I not only raise my hand, but I start going, me. Start going a little bit nuts. And they chose me. We were 2 men and 2 women. And that's the clip that you just saw there. We were 4. Then they go to the audience. They ask for an applause. And myself and one of the other women got the most applause. So now it was a dance-off between myself and someone else. And that you didn't see. That wasn't taped. But early on, I think she was in the lead. And then later on, I pulled out all the stops, including like a spinning kick in the air and stuff like that. It was stuff of legends, right? So anyway, that's it. They go to the audience, applause. I get like a huge ovation, and they bring me in the back. And then next thing you know, the show's starting. They mic me up. They make me sign a waiver. And then I end up going on the show. And that's it. And that's it. As soon as I go on the show's over. I start dancing, and then the show's over. I take a picture. Family takes a picture. My wife and the boys with Kelly and Anderson Cooper, and that's it. The second we leave the studio, my phone is burning up. A bunch of people back home watched it. They saw me on Instagram on the dance off. They saw me actually dance live on the show. Next thing you know, the news was calling me. They wanted me on the news and this and that and whatever. I'm getting interview requests, and that's it. And happy wife, happy life. That's my story. What men will do sometimes. All right. 1-888-5856, 1-888-585-7425. And Yellow and Sammy back at Master Control. I know you're getting to the calls. And so let me know. Our last caller hung up. That's always nice. So until 1-888-585-7425. Once again, if you have your mobile on you and you don't want to call with the mobile because you're actually watching the show, you can pick up your phone at home, your cordless phone at home. Call toll-free 1-888-585-7425, and you can still have your cell phone in your hand while you're talking to me and still watch what's going on in the YouTube and the chat and all that stuff. Let's get to some comments before we get to some callers. With Montembeault playing so well, says Paul Cormier, do you think Hughes will try to move Allen for a first-round draft pick or a top prospect? I believe, and I don't know this, but I believe that if he gets a first-round pick for Allen or a top prospect, I believe he'll do it. Next. Jaden Rod, Tony, at this point, would you be happy with a top 10 draft pick? Doesn't look like Montreal is going to be bottom 5 at the end of the year. I'm still hoping they will be. Next. Don't forget. Don't forget. The Canadiens are going to trade Sean Monahan. The Canadiens are going to trade Jonathan Drouin. The Canadiens are going to trade Evgeny Dadonov. At the very least, they're trading 3 players, and they're not going to bring anyone to give them immediate help right away. So it's going to affect their depth, and then they're going to have to probably bring up players from Laval to replace those players, and you would think that they're going to ice an inferior team. You would think. And if they trade Jake Allen, then you got one less goalie. So, I mean, I think the Canadiens will lose more games than they're going to win between now and the end of the year. But you have to say that the last couple of games, they played really, really well. 3 of the last 4, they played really well. Maybe even 4 of the last 4. I forget the other one. But anyway, who do we have here? Who do we have? Hello, who's this? Hello?
Hey, Tony.
Is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. What's going on? Who's this? What do I have?
How you doing? Hey, bonsoir. Ça va bien?
Ça va bien, toi? Je parle avec qui exactement?
Ça va bien, avec Gabriel.
Gabriel!
Gabriel, j'habite à Québec maintenant. Je sais que le numéro 514 peut être un peu parfois bizarre. Mais 2 questions pour toi. Une première en début de discussion. Si Jake Allen, sa blessure s'avère être un peu plus grande, un peu plus sévère qu'on le pense, qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec Cayden Primo? Est-ce qu'on lui donne un maximum de temps de jeu cette année, selon toi?
So Gabriel's question is, if Jake Allen is out for an extended period of time and his injury is worse than what we thought, what do we do with Cayden Primo? Gabriel, je vais te répondre à ta question, puis ensuite je vais traduire. Moi, je pense qu'à un moment donné, il faut donner du temps de jeu à Cayden Primo aussi. Là. Si Jake Allen est à l'extérieur du jeu pendant longtemps, tu sais, on ne peut pas cacher Cayden Primo, puis le cacher, puis le cacher, puis le cacher. À un moment donné, il faut le jouer parce que ça va jouer sur sa confiance aussi. Je comprends bien qu'ils veulent le protéger peut-être, qu'ils pensent que si jamais il va jouer un match, peut-être il va en donner 5 ou 6, puis ça pourrait peut-être affecter sa confiance. Mais tu ne penses pas que ça affecte sa confiance, qu'on laisse toujours sur le banc puis il ne joue pas? Pour l'instant, on ne peut rien dire parce que Montembeault, il joue bien. Mais à un moment donné, si les Canadiens ont 2-2 ou 3-4, à un moment donné, il faut que Cayden Primo joue en goal 1. Mm-hmm. What I was saying was, listen, right now they're probably protecting Cayden Primo and Montembeault is playing well, so they got to play him. But at one point, if they're going to play 2-2 or they're going to play 3-4, they're going to play 4-6 and Jake Allen's out. As much as it would hurt Cayden Primo's confidence if he gives up 5 or 6, don't you think it would hurt his confidence if he sit out all those games as well? I would say even more so. As-tu une autre question, mon chum?
Yes. La prochaine, là, on spécule, hein? On est des fans du Canadien.
Oui.
What if we don't have Connor Bedard at the first pick overall, what are your best pick for Montreal Canadiens on draft for 2023-2024 season?
All right. So based on what I know and I've seen a little bit, and I've talked to some people in the know, I believe that the next best talent in the draft after Bedard, natural talent, is Michkov. I believe that after Michkov, the next best natural talent in that draft is Carlson. That's not to say that I wouldn't pick Fantilli second, because obviously I wouldn't be surprised if Fantilli picked second. As a matter of fact, I would bet on it. I would bet that Fantilli is going to be picked second. But in terms of pure talent and skill, I believe that Michkov is second. I believe that Carlson is third. But I believe the draft is going to go something like Bedard, Fantilli, Michkov, Carlson, or Carlson, Michkov. But once again, it all depends on who's going to be picking and what their needs are. But some people believe that Michkov might drop because he's in the KHL. He'll have been scouted less, and he's committed to the KHL for at least another couple of seasons, so he wouldn't come to the National Hockey League until later on. But guess what? It worked pretty well for Minnesota and Kirill Kaprizov, did it not?
It did.
My God, the guy's the real deal. The guy's amazing.
My point on that is with that pick with Panthers of Florida.
Wait.
It's a protect pick, right? So Montreal, with the last 5 games, are getting well. Not play as worse as Blackhawks.
No. Hold on a second. If the Panthers have a top 10 pick, if they have an 8th pick or they have a 7th pick, the Canadiens have that pick.
They do.
Yes.
Really? I thought it was protect.
No, it's not protected, that pick.
Oh, it's product for like the 5 first or something like that?
It's not protect. I'd have to get all the details. I don't want to make a mistake either, but that's why everyone's been going on their tankathon over the past couple of days, and they're wondering if the Canadiens can get the first and the second pick, the first with theirs or the second with Florida's, and probably try and draft Bedard and whoever else they want second. So the Florida pick is unprotected, my friend. So if Florida finishes, if Florida has the 5th pick overall, that 5th pick overall, it's coming to the Canadiens, mon chum.
Oh, I really thought, because I checked on cap salary and I thought it was that, but I may have a mistake right now.
No. It's not protected, my friend. It is not protected.
Oh, okay. All right. But I'm really happy to know that, because if we have Bedard and Fantini like back to back with Joshua Raw, like we may have a Stanley Cup soon.
But Gabriel, I'm going to tell you something, all right? And it's going to be one of the first times that you're ever going to hear this, okay?
Yeah.
If the Canadiens end up getting a pick outside the top 10, one of the guys they should really think about. Are you ready for this? I want you to write this name down, and then you come back and you talk to me, okay? He plays for the Sudbury Wolves of the Ontario Hockey League. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do.
He's a left winger who shoots left. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, right now you're kind of losing me, because I'm not sure about if he's the lefties or not.
Okay, who are you thinking about?
OHL.
You ready?
Yeah, tell me. I don't want to go to Google right now.
Quentin Musty.
All right, but he's still young, right? He's almost 17, right?
A bird whispered in my ear. Actually, a snake whispered in my ear. Not a bird, a snake. Quentin Musty.
All right, I heard that.
Yeah.
I hope you're right.
Yeah, as I said back then, about 10 days ago, the first time we mentioned Quentin Musty, maybe even 2 weeks ago, roses are red, violets get dusty. I almost dropped dead when we brought up Quentin Musty. Hey, Gabriel, ça m'a fait plaisir de parler avec toi, puis j'espère que tu vas appeler plus souvent, mon chum. Hey, ça, c'est...
Bonne soirée, merci beaucoup pour le podcast.
J'apprécie quand le monde m'appelle puis parle en français. I appreciate when people call me and they speak in French, because I always wanted to have a bilingual show. This is something that I've wanted for the last 15 years. But obviously in radio, you can't. There's CRTC rules and all this stuff. You cannot have a bilingual show. But there's no rules on podcast. On podcast, you can have a bilingual show. You can have a trilingual show on podcast. You can speak 4, 5, 6 languages. It doesn't matter. It's all good. So you know what? If you want to call and speak to me in French, I'll answer you in French. Then I'll translate all that stuff. It's a beautiful thing. Quentin Musty. Hey, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone. I want to give 11,000+ thanks. You know why? Because our YouTube channel of the Sick Podcast now has over 11,000 subscribers. It's still not a huge number. I wish it was 111,000. I actually wish it was 1.1 million. It would be even better if it was 11 million. All right. But I also remember where we started, because when you start with 0. And that was about 2 years ago. And about 1 year ago, we probably had, 3,000-4,000 subscribers. And now we're at 11,000, which leads me to believe that 1 year from now, we're going to be over 20,000 subscribers. I would think. I would hope. Actually, I'd hope we'd be at around 50,000 within a year from now. But anyway, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Molto grazie. Muchas gracias. This is a multicultural show. Quentin Musty. I want to thank the people that brought you this podcast. Energy Transportation Group, 8.6 Beer, and Xhekaj. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, with my buddy Mapper who's a regular on Wednesday nights, Marc-Andre Perreault. Marinaro bidding you good night. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell them the podcast and the host are sick. Hey, what do you think of my pants? Look at that. Eh? Yeah, these are kind of like my PJs. Who are you? Who am I? I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. 8.6. Intense by nature. And La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.